Today we shall take up the poem I Remember by Thomas Hood. In this video we shall be briefly introducing the poem and the poet, and we shall go through the poem line by line. In the next video we shall go about some more important details and the summarization of it. So let's start. In this poem, Hood idolizes his childhood ignorance, picturesquely describing his memories by coloring them in beautiful hues and images, and it seems he dedicates this work to nostalgic embrace of the memory of his childhood. The poem grapples equally with the idealization of childhood and the sorrow that it must end. This poem was published in William Michael Rossetti's The Poetical Works of Thomas Hood 1903 and is devoted to the sentimental romanticizing of the memories of childhood, about revisiting and remembering the nostalgic and carefree world of early childhood. This poem was published in the United States in 1904. It appeared in the children's collection Poems That Every Child Should Know, edited by Mary E. Burt. Although a contemporary of John Keats, Hood remains one of the lesser-known English poets. He wrote this poem in 1844, a year before his death in 1845. This poem is dedicated to the nostalgic embrace. Hood idolizes his childish ignorance, painting his memories with beautiful colors and images. Getting to the text now, the first stanza. I remember, the house where I was born, the little window where the sun came peeping in at morn. He never came a wink too soon, nor brought too long a day. But now I often wish the night had borne my breath away. So in every stanza we will see that he juxtaposes the memories of his childhood with the present life of adulthood. In the first stanza we see that he is remembering his childhood home where he was born, and remembers the little window in his room from where the sun came peeping in at every morning. The sun is thus being personified as a friendly character who seems to do everything to a level of perfection. He never came too quick, nor did he bring too long a weary day. This suggests that everything was in perfect balance and harmony in his childhood. But the last two lines, when we see, but now I often wish the night had borne my breath away, there's a shift of his tone, and he is found wishing that the night perhaps should have taken his breath away by suffocating him, by taking away his life, which suggests that he is longing for death, that his present state is not at all as happy as his childhood memories are, and therefore there is a contrast between the idyllic memories of childhood and the harsh realities of adulthood. His yearning for death is a reflection of his extremely tiring and difficult present. The depiction of the sunshine and daytime represents the brighter and happier period of his life and underlines the noticeable gap shared between the past and the present. The pain that life is causing him is evident in his desire to be gone with the night. The image of the night therefore stands for everything from darkness and hopelessness to suffering and hollowness. It becomes a symbol that represents Hood's depressive and gloomy adult self. And in the very first stanza, the very first line which we see, I remember. This is a figure of speech which is used, or a poetic device which is used, and that is called refrain, where a particular verse of a poem is repeated at particular intervals throughout the poem, and therefore, or in a song even, and therefore we find the same line being repeated in all of his four stanzas. Moving on to the second stanza now. I remember the roses red and white, the violets and the lily cups, those flowers made of light, the lilacs where the robin built and where my brother sat, the laburnum on his birthday, the tree is living yet. So he continues to reflect on his childhood memories. He remembers the different flowers, the roses, red and white, the violets, the lily cups. These flowers are described as being made of light, suggesting their beauty and radiance. He remembers the lilacs where the robin built its nest. This image adds to the idyllic picture of his childhood memories. He also mentions his brother planting a laburnum tree on his birthday and notes that the tree is still living. This suggests that even though time has passed and things have changed, some things still remain constant. Caressing the memories of these good old days, he fleetingly discusses the laburnum that his brother planted in the garden on his birthday and addresses the fact that even after all these years, the memory of the tree planted years ago is still living. This last line can convey another meaning that the poet recognizes the tree as a tangible reminder of his buried past, a token from his brother who is no longer alive. Third stanza I remember, where I was used to swing and thought the air must rush as fresh to swallows on the wing. My spirit flew in feathers then, this is so heavy now, and summer pools could hardly cool the fever on my brow. So, in every stanza, we can see the reflection of childhood memories contrasting with his present life, his burdensome adult life. And therefore, he says here that he remembers his childhood memories of different activities like swinging high and fast and feeling the fresh air rush past him. He compares his spirit to that of a bird in flight who is light and free. This image suggests the joy and freedom he felt as a child. He says that his spirit is now heavy and that the summer pools could hardly cool the fret and the fever and worry and anxiety that he has now. This suggests that he is no longer able to find the same joy and freedom in his present state of his life, and the lightness of his childhood memories are contrasted with the heaviness of his present state, which is poignant and bittersweet. So, the fresh air, the serene nature, the overwhelming emotions experienced during such simple activity of swinging high and freely delivered such immense amount of pleasure and calm to the poet that he felt as if he was capable of flying. Therefore, the entire act of just riding a swing is elevated to the experience of taking an untroubled flight like swallows in the vast stretch of the sky. Swallows is a kind of bird. The comparison between his spirit and the lightness of the feathers enables a deeper understanding of the carefree and relaxed nature of his childhood. The poet who remembers losing himself so completely in nature once feels that it seems impossible for him to be free from the clutches of reason and rationality and the burden of the responsibilities of his adult life, as if he informs the audience how grave the troubles of adulthood are. The present concerns are so prominent that no childhood memory can cool it down. So, no amount of comforting memories can avoid the situation at hand. Thus shows how much he feels dejected and depressed to think that now nothing can soothe his aching adult heart. So, moving on to the next and the last final stanza. I remember the fir trees, dark and high. I used to think their slender tops were close against the sky. It was a childhood ignorance, but now 'tis little joy to know I am farther off from heaven than when I was a boy. So, in this fourth and final stanza of the poem, he reflects on his childhood memories, remembering the fir trees that were dark and high. He used to think that their tops were so high that they were close to the sky and metaphorically close to heaven itself. This image suggests the wonder and awe he felt as an innocent child. He acknowledges that his childhood ignorance brought him much joy, but now it is nothing equivalent to it because he is farther off from heaven than when he was just a boy. This suggests that he has grown older and gained much knowledge and understanding, and he has also lost some of his innocence and wonder of childhood. The understanding of his adulthood is poignant and thought provoking and keeps reminding him that the childhood, the memories, the joy, the innocence can never be regained. The glorification of his past continues even in these concluding lines. He seems to lament the loss of innocence, which might be considered as a dominant theme of this poem. His remembrance and his desire to return to his earlier state stand unattended. His memories of a perfect childhood and his sense of freedom and independence come to a shattering halt as soon as he realizes that there is no return to happy and blissful days. So, despite the fleeting nature of life, however, the tree, we are talking about the laburnum tree still stands, serving as a testament to the power of memory and the importance of preserving one's past, as a poignant reminder of the joys and sorrows of growing older, underscoring the poem's central themes. Additionally, the robin, who is just a common bird in many cultures, is often associated with good luck or a positive omen. It reinforces the idea that the memories associated with childhood are valuable and worth cherishing. It helps to create a sense of nostalgia and longing for the innocence and happiness of childhood. The phrase "my spirit flew in feathers then" suggests a sense of lightness, freedom, and innocence associated with childhood, while the phrase "that is so heavy now" suggests a sense of burden, pressure, and weariness associated with adulthood. The contrast between the two states of being highlights the theme of the poem, which is the beauty and value of childhood memories. So, the spirit of his childhood was light as a feather and felt free and liberated. But after having grown up and spent so many years of his life, he feels that his spirit is very heavy and burdened with cares and responsibilities now. The fir trees were an intrinsic part of his childhood. As a child, he used to think that the slender tops of those trees were very close to the sky. It made him feel that if he reached to the top of them, he might have even reached nearer to heaven, which is the abode of all happiness. Now, with the realization of non existence of any such heaven in his adulthood, he wishes his childhood ignorance were true. For as he grew up to be an adult, he feels that he has grown distant from heaven and thereby childhood bliss. He feels he has gone farther away from his blissful fantasy of childhood. Here, heaven may also mean God or his attributes, or a cherished belief inculcated in a child that there is a place where one can find eternal bliss, where the solution of all problems are met, while adult realization destroys any such cherished beliefs. So that's all for today. We shall get back to more details in the next video.